किसका कार्बन फुटप्रिंट ज्यादा है भाई, वेजिटेरियंस का या नॉन वेजिटेरियंस का? And which industry is responsible for creating or producing highest level of GHG emissions? Is it the plant-based industry or is it the animal-based industry? So guys, globally, food production of all kinds is responsible for creating 1/3 of the entire planet heating gases or GHG emissions. Worldwide, meat production alone, including livestock feed, is responsible for 35% of all global emissions. A study has found that amongst food production, meat production accounts for nearly 60% of entire GHG emissions. A major study has also found that production of meat is responsible for double the amount of pollution as compared to production of plant-based food. Use of animals like cows, pigs and other animals for food production is responsible for 57% of the entire GHG emissions. Whereas according to a research, plant-based food production is responsible for just 29% of the entire GHG emissions contributed by the food industry. The share of using animals for meat production is responsible for twice the amount of pollution as compared to production of plant-based foods. So the entire process of food production, from intensive farming to tilling to the use of nitrogen-based fertilizers to transportation and supply of all this produce, releases around 17.3 billion metric tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere each year. And this enormous figure of 17.3 billion metric tons of GHG emissions is actually more than double the amount of emissions of US alone. In fact, a study by Food and Agriculture Organizations of United Nations has confirmed that 14% of the entire emissions comes from meat and the dairy industry. So the difference in emissions between the plant-based industry and the animal-based industry is stark and clear. Let's look at the math behind this. For example, to produce 1 kg of meat, 2.5 kilograms of greenhouse gases are emitted. Whereas a single kilo of red meat creates, guess how much? 70 kilograms of GHG emissions. So guys, grazing of animals and growing livestock feed requires huge amounts of land, and that is often cleared by deforestation. And ironically, research paper calculates that the majority of world's cropland are cleared and used for feeding livestock rather than people. In fact, white meat production has expanded to a point that there are now 3 chickens per human on this planet. Research has also found that currently South America is responsible for creating highest amount of animal-based GHG emissions, followed by China and Southeast Asia. India is also on the list. The research points that animal-based emissions from India has been increasing. And the most important point, animal agriculture and growing of livestock is also responsible for emitting huge amounts of methane gas, which is the second most concerning and dangerous greenhouse gas. So guys, as per United Nations projections, food production from both plant and animal-based industries is set to increase by 70% by 2050 to meet the increasing demands of the increasing population, which now stands at 8 billion. And that's not a good news, because this will lead to the expansion of the food sectors and subsequent increase in food and animal-based meat production, and that which will require a lot of land utilization, which will lead to further deforestation, reduction in carbon sequestration. More deforestation will further add greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, as there will be less carbon sequestration and therefore increase in climate change.